Welcome back. We are going to go over ordering seeds. I have already ordered seeds and I have so many seeds saved that I'm pretty set. But there are so many things to learn in regards to ordering seeds. I wanted to go through some catalogs of my two favorites, which are Johnny's and Mowing. How to do calculations for knowing how much seed to order. And I found a new seed that I have not tried before. This is Annie's Heirloom Seeds, and they're in Madison, Wisconsin. And I wanted to give them a try, so we're going to try those this year. This one is, what is this? What did I order? Oh, ground cherries. It's really good. And some comfrey. So comfrey is super awesome in terms of the depth of their root system goes really far, and so they bring up all these nutrients for other plants way down deep, and so that's really awesome. Those are going to go in the floral area of the garden, and then the ground cherries are going to go actually underneath the fig trees. So that is where those seeds are going to go, but those I haven't tried before. The other seeds that I have tried that I really liked are Renee seeds and Seed Savers also. But we're going to use the catalogs that I have as an example for Mowing and Johnny's. So let's get to that. Okay, so ordering seeds, we're going to go through, of course, you'll need to know your bed size and what you want. So bed size, rows, how many rows? So numbers of rows. And so you've got the bed, and we've got 1, 2, 3 rows in a bed, let's say, right? All right, and let's just pretend they're all the same, right? Okay, we've got our 3, and we'll just do an example of the bed size that we have that out at my parents' place is 40 feet by 3 feet. So what could we fit in a 40-foot by 3 feet bed? Well, I'm going to grab out, this is just an example of, so I get Mowing, their catalogs, okay? And when you're looking at a catalog, it can be kind of confusing in terms of the number of seeds that you're ordering. And I know that I was totally confused the first time I ordered seeds from a larger company like Mowing or like Johnny's. And I did not do this, but I totally should have, is just give them a call. Just give the seed company a call. Okay, they're happy to hear from you. They really are. They're so nice. And so I did not do that the first year because I was embarrassed, which is totally stupid. I was like, oh my God, I should know this. I'm not going to call them because I should already know all this stuff. Well, no, Kristen, you don't have to know everything. And it's okay to ask. So after I went through that, I totally asked because I ordered way too much seed of some things and not enough seed of some others. So just don't stress out and give them a call if you don't know. Okay, but we have up here some highlights of how to figure out the seed. Okay, so it says the average seed, right? So seeds a pound, M equals 1,000. Okay, and you want to do 2 seeds every 12 inches. And this is cauliflower. This is just for cauliflower. So it's telling you what you need to do, right? So if we're doing 12 seeds, or seeds per 12, right? We've got a bed that's 40. So that means that we could do 40, right? Because 12 inches is 1 foot, and we've got 40 feet. So basically, we're just doing, if we wanted to break it down, we could do 40 times 12, which is 480 inches divided by 12, because we're doing it every 12 inches, we get 40, right? But then we have to multiply that by 2 times 2, which is 80. Now say if we wanted to do 2 rows, right, then we just multiply the 80 times 2 again, and you get 160. 160, okay, so where do we find 160 seeds? Well, okay, the Skywalker is actually a really good variety for, and that's another thing. So I should say this too, write this down, make a note, that call the seed company not only about how much seed to order, but also what variety grows well in my growing zone, right? And I just said zone 5 because that's the zone that I'm in. But whatever zone that you're in, right? ... Which variety grows well in my growing zone? How much seed do I need? You need to have what your bed size is. And you also need to know how much you're going to want to grow. So have an idea of, know your bed size and how many rows that you're going to dedicate to, where our example is the cauliflower. Right? So then we got to ask ourselves, before we call them, we got to ask ourselves, well, how much do I want cauliflower for 1 planting or 2 plantings? Right? So this would be called succession planting, when you're doing multiple plantings of the same thing within 1 season. So let's say we decide we want to do 2 plantings of our cauliflower. Okay? And so we already know that we need 80 seeds, because we did our calculation. 40 times 2, 80 seeds per row, right? And let's say that our row number 1 is going to be our cauliflower, okay? Cauliflower, cauliflower, cauliflower. I can't do 80 on that. I mean 40. I can't do 40 cauliflowers on this. Okay, so, but we want to do 2 plantings, so we're going to do 80. We'll bring this down here because limited room. So we're doing 80 I'm gonna make sure this is in the video. 80 times 2, because we're doing 2 plantings, is our 160, right? Okay, and that's what we said before. We need 160 seeds. But let's say we are like, you know what? Actually, I want to grow more because I'm going to freeze it and I'm going to eat it over the winter. So I totally just need to multiply this. And I'm going to eat and give away, that's a lot of cauliflower, right? 40 already? Oh, well, this is just an example. So, so we've got 160 and we're times 2. Oh, yeah, of course. 320 seeds now that we need of cauliflower, right? Okay, so we're going back in here. We're looking at the Skywalker. I really like Skywalker. It does great in this area. I already know that, but if you don't know, call them. And then it takes 72 days. So when we make our chart, you've gotta write down somewhere in some kind of area the seeds that you're going to plant and how many days. Now this is not even a part of the seeds, but since we're running into this part right now in the seeds video, I'm just going to go over it because you have to know it. So if you have a notepad, you write down Skywalker, cauliflower, Skywalker, 72 days. And remember, you wanted to do 2 plantings, right? So this is for when you do your greenhouse plan and you map out the plan for your whole growing area, right? You can totally, before you call and order the seeds or before you order them online, you do this, write down everything, and then you figure out, does this plan actually make sense for the space that I have, right? So let's say you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I would love to do 2 plantings still, but I just want to do the one row, 2 plantings. Yep, but I'm just going to do the 160, 1 row. I'm going to do 1 row and I'm going to do 2 plantings. That's 160 seeds. So, because maybe after we mapped out our whole area, we're like, we don't need that many. Or you can always do this, where you say, I'll just buy it now and then I have it for 2027. Or if I change my mind, I don't want to not have the seed that I want for the extra row. So say we're going to do, this row over here, because we got the 80 seeds for here, 80 seeds for here, times 2, right? Because we're doing 2 plantings. So then together, that would be 320, right? Because we got 160, 160. So together we need 320. And say we are like, oh, whoops, we don't have enough for 2026 to do that. But if I save them, I could already have my seed then for 2027. Then I'll still get the 320. And say, something didn't grow well. And let's say you're going to do in the fall, you know, some more radishes, or you're going to do carrots, or, you know, something, another planting of something that doesn't take a long time, like winter squash, right? So you decide, oh, that bed where all the lettuce was, or radish, that's gone. And you know what? I could put that cauliflower in that bed. I'm glad that I bought those extra seeds. So anyway, I'm just always thinking about the what ifs as well, because I don't want to be in a spot of, I wish that I had bought more seed. If I have a little more, that's like totally in a better spot. You know what I mean? Okay, so we've got our 72 days. We wrote that down. We're starting our greenhouse plan, making that as we do our seed plan. And as we do our seed plan, we're also working out how we're going to map out and grow the garden, what all the beds are going to be, all the rows, are we going to do succession planting, all that, right? So that'll be in a different video, y'all. So but we're looking at Skywalker, then flight. Okay, so we follow it over. So this is actually very straightforward, this seed, because we know that 25 seeds is in there, or 100 or 500. So now we know we need to order the 500. And you could say, well, why don't we order 4 of the 100s? Okay, well, let's do 4 of the 100s. Let's see what that is. It's always more when you order more of the smaller increments. Yep, so this comes to, if we did 4 100s, 1460. Oh, 1460. I did 1490. Whoops. 1460 times 4 is 58.40. And if we order the 500, it's 45 bucks. So we're saving, like, what is that, $13 if we just go with the larger amount, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with the larger amount. Now let's do a different one. Let's do a different one where it's by the ounces. We're looking at seeds by the ounces. Okay? Okay, hot peppers. Y'all like spicy peppers? Oh my god, I like spicy peppers. Okay. Peppers. So here is our key up here. This is going to be what we're going off of for the seed to see how many peppers can we fit in the bed, right? For our rows, for our bed. And here's our rows. And we're going to stick with the same. And this is, so we're doing transplants because in the zone that I'm in, it's not very long. And so you have to do transplants of things that love hot weather. If you live in a zone higher, maybe zone 7 and above, I don't know. I haven't lived in a zone higher. So I always have to do transplants. So we're going to go off of that. It says transplants 12 to 18 inches apart in rows and 18 to 30 inches apart. So, okay, so each plant here has to be 12 to 18. And then if we're doing more than that, this space in between the rows here has to be 18 to 30. inches, and each of these is 12. It says 12 to 18, but I always maxed it out. I always maxed it out because I was like, you know what, that's what I want. Okay, so this is very helpful because this one is, we have to do a calculation for it. Okay. It says the 1/64 ounce is about 60 seeds. So we're taking that number down, and we're also taking down the average here is 62 M, and M we know is 1,000, so that's 62,000 seeds is in a pound, okay? And I'm gonna do, I found one, yes. Okay, so we've got our ring of fire. I like saying like fire. And remember, we got to write this down in our notes, in our notebook for our greenhouse plan, that ring of fire is 45 days. Okay? So 45 to green. I was like, that's not long enough, dude. 45 is green and 60 days is red. So we're just going to call it 60 days, y'all. We don't want green ring of fires, green cayennes. So I really love this cayenne, by the way, y'all, because it is, has like a hint of sweetness to the spice. Cayenne, I think, is really, like, fresh cayenne is not used enough in making cuisine, making food, making salsa. You know, just it really brings out flavor of other things that you are wanting to enhance. It's not just gonna overpower you with spice, because, and this is my interpretation, which, you know, I don't know, I always 60 days, right? And we just do one planting. Oh, I forgot to write here that we do transplant. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. So I'm doing transplant of the collie and a transplant of the cayenne. And this is for the greenhouse plan that I'm starting. This is just a mock-up. This is not the one that I'm actually going to use, but this is just for our seed catalog, going through that. Anyways, that's what we're doing here, right? So we realize that we're going to order 500 seeds. We might as well write that in the thing here too, right? We're getting the 500 seeds of the collie. Now let's see how many cayennes we need. We have to do some math here. Okay, so if we're looking at our seed catalog, we know where we're finding out the information on these specific seeds, the weight, right? So we've got that down here. But now we need to look at where in the catalog is, here we go, sold by weight. Okay, so the ring of fire is sold by weight. And you're like, oh crap, how do I know how many seeds is 1/64 of an ounce? Well, they gave that one to us, though. They gave the 1/64 of an ounce to us. So we're looking at this here. We're going down to ring of fire, and we're finding out. So then we go to 1/16 and a 1/4 ounce, 1 ounce. 1/4 of a pound, and a pound. Woo! Holy moly! Now we know what a pound is. 26 or dyslexia. 62,000 seeds. Craziness. Okay, what do we got to do first? We have to do 1 divided by 64, which equals. I already did this because I wanted to show y'all. This is how smart I am. No, I already know it. And okay, so it equals 0.15625. So we're doing 1 divided by 64, okay? Then we take that number and we multiply it by 62,000 and we get 968.75. We're dividing it by 16. Why? Because there's 16 ounces equal 1 pound, right? Okay, so then we've got this, which comes to 60.546875. But we don't need all these, right? So that's why in the page back over here, that's why in this page back over here, it said about 60, right? Do you remember? It said approximately. Oh, okay. It said approximately. Sorry, my bad. Approximately 60 seeds. Okay, so then if we want to do a 16th, well, we know a 16th, easy way to do that is you're just doing times 4, because we know that a 16th is a 4 times 16 is 4 or whatever, right? A 16th. There's 4 16th and 1 64th. Times 4 equals 64. So that's why we're doing 1 16th. We can just times 4 by times 60, right? So we've got 60 times 4 is 240 seeds. And then we can do it again for the 4th, right? So we can do that by times 4 to get what is 1/4 of an ounce. These are ounces all, right? These are all ounces. So 1/4 of an ounce is 960 seeds. Well, how many do we need? How many do we need? Are we going to do 1 row? Oh, sorry, I didn't even see that. Are we going to do 1 row? Or are we going to do 2 rows? So if we do 1 row, I always do, it says 12 to 18 inches. I always do 12. I always try and max it out. I always try and max it out. I'm like, I am going to grow as much as I can in the space that I have without making the plants not grow well because they don't have enough nutrients. And that is the point. That's the point, y'all. It's not that, okay, so you actually have like a pepper plant here, and then if you space out a foot, this is more than a foot, maybe you space out a foot, the plant actually, they don't like overlap each other really even. I mean, it maybe a little bit, but it's not really about the plants are gonna grow on top of one another. It's more that you want them to get sufficient water, each plant. You want them to get sufficient nutrients from the soil. You want them all to get sufficient sun, and that they're not competing. So that's why you want them to have space, because they do get tall, and you want to make sure that they're not competing for the sun and the water and the nutrients. Okay, so if we did 12, well, that's the same, right? So we can do 40 plants in 1 row. So 40 seeds one row. But do we look at, what did it say on here for, like the other one had 2 seeds, remember? It had 2 seeds per deal. So what does this one say? What's this one say? Does it say anything like that? It says no, because we're talking about, what are we talking about again? Which we weren't in the other one, actually, but we totally, I transplant cauliflower all the time. But this is not talking about direct seeding. Okay, it's talking about transplanting. Okay, so you're like, well, what do I do for doing the seeds in the greenhouse, right? How many seeds do you put in the container, the little trays, right, for the greenhouse? Well, I always do 2 seeds. Gosh dang it. I gotta get my camera right too. But I always do 2 seeds, 2 seeds, 2 seeds. So we're actually 2 times 40 again, which I didn't know was going to come out like this, would be 80. So we need 80 seeds. So how many do we need to order? Well, what do we have? Our options are actually, remember it was a 64th, and then it jumped to a 16th. Well, let me think. Do we really want 240 seeds when we need 80? Okay, well, what are we going to use them for? So this is the other part, right? You go, okay, well, what are we going to use it for? We're going to use it for salsa. Hell yeah. We're going to use it for juice, because I love spicy juice. We're going to use it for canning. And just as you get better and better at growing, you're going to realize what your harvests are going to be for each plant. So, for instance, Ring of Fire, that fire, gonna listen to some Johnny Cash after this, right? I fell into burning ring of fire. Okay. And, and then we're gonna have it with different, like, dishes, right? We're gonna have it fresh. So we're actually using it for multiple things. So I'm thinking, why in the heck are we just doing 1 row? And we can't really do succession planting of this because it's really not that hot here. I had to use black plastic mulch because it was not hot enough. The black plastic made the ground heat up faster. And really, it's like you got June, July, August, and my birthday is in the beginning of August, and it always cools off here in Minnesota on my birthday, and that is a week in August, and it's like 70 is the high again, and I'm like, what the hell? So we don't have that long at all. And yes, I counted 3 months, right? June, July, August, but the ground needs to heat up a lot for these plants, and that it cools off in August. It's like, really, you could take, 2 weeks off in June and 2 weeks off in August, and really there's your 60 days. Your 60 days are right there, right? So I do not recommend, if you have growing in a cold climate and you don't have a way to heat up what you're doing. I gotta figure out how to get this camera in a better spot, y'all. So it's just not going to work. So anyways, let's think about, okay, 240. If we did 2 rows, do we have enough space, right? Because now we got to do 18 to 30 inches apart, which, like I said, I always try to do max, so I would do like 24 at the max. That's just me. I always would do 24 at the max, so that's 2 feet, right? 2 feet apart. So anyways, we know that 80 times 2 is 160, right? So now we're doing 160 plants, 160 seeds, which not every seed is going to germinate. So that's why you want to double up your seeds, because it's not all going to germinate. And not every plant is going to produce as much as the other. So, but I was coming back to how much to grow because of, well, how much does each plant, what is each plant gonna produce pound wise, so that I can do the salsa, I can do the juice, I can do canning, I can do fresh cayennes, right? And I always came up with, after you grow things for a year, then you can figure out, we already have, look back at our notes, right, how many plants we actually did, keep track of what the pounds were that you harvested, right? What were they? And so then you can look back at the next year and see if that's enough, and you can try and... Are y'all having fun yet? Let's do some peppers. So you can look back at the previous year, and you know how many plants you transplanted, how many actually produced, and what pounds total. Total pounds of every plant, right? You're not doing each plant individually. That's way too much. Don't do that. But if you have an estimate, right? You're like, oh, wow, so I did, I ended up having 80 plants, but I got 50, let's say 40 pounds. 40 pounds. So that means each plant produced a half a pound. Okay, cool. So then you go down to what you wanted everything for, right? And you're like, well, did those 40 pounds, was that enough for salsa, juice, canning, and fresh dishes? Did I have enough did I give some away? And I love giving stuff away, so I would have no problem if I had extra and I couldn't use all of it. It's same as the seed. I would rather have more and give stuff away than not enough and realize that, oh crap, I ran out of my, canned cayennes that I was going to use to make even more fresh salsa during the winter, or more juice, or whatever I was going to do with it, right? And I just like canning them, and I'll eat the whole cayenne. So, anyways, but I was going to show y'all, or say this too. This is the last part, y'all. Thanks for hanging in. You got this. You got this. You got this. So, if I've never grown in a space before, and I'm growing 2 rows of something, this is kind of, a lot that I'm dedicating to this area, right, for those spring fires. So I got, I do 30%, so I've got 80 plants total that I'm transplanting, right? Because 160 is the seed, because we're doing 2 seeds per tray, right? So if we're doing 2 seeds per tray, anyways, I want to do 80 times 30%. Now, why am I doing that? Well, because I have not grown in the area before, so I am expecting to have a 30% crop loss. And if I want all my crops here, what does that mean? 30% crop loss. So that means that actually it comes out to is 24. So if I'm adding more to this area, right? I'm adding actually 24 more, or 24 are going to do really bad, right? So 24 are going to do really bad. That's 56, you know, that are not going to be that great. But let's just do this really quick. So I've got 30% crop loss. So I've got 160 seeds. If I just add more seed, I want 24 more seed, but actually it would be like 48, right? Because I'm doubling it. Anyways. So that is, let's do that really quick. What is it? 160 plus 48 is 208, 208. And if we do that, then the 240 actually is not that far off, right? You're like, oh wow, I'm getting like 22 more seeds, 32 more seeds. Of course, 32 more seeds more. Well, okay, then I'm getting the 1/16 ounce seed packet, and then we write it over here in our dandy book. We write down how many seeds that we're getting. 1/16 ounce. And that's how we figure out the by weight seed or the one that's by count. And again, you can just call your seed person. You can set up an account online so you can they keep track of how much seed you ordered. And then I would also just keep track of what did I transplant, what did I end up transplanting, what did I want it for, and how many pounds that I got out of it. And why would you want to do that? Well, because if you like that thing, you want to grow it next year, you know about how much you actually want it. Do you want to cut back on what you grew, or do you want to plant more? Was it really great crop, or was it not really great? Was it the seed variety? Did you not pick a seed variety that was really good in your area, or was it the season itself was crap? You know, it was super dry, and even though you watered, it felt like you couldn't keep up with the watering. And so anyways, so they got, of course, highmowingseeds.com. I'm not sponsored by any of these. They have been super helpful, y'all. Super, super helpful. So that's why I like them, is because I can call them up, I can ask any question, and yeah, I chatted one time, the person that was assigned to help me and my seeds. I can't remember what you call that. But, Ava. So I called up Ava and was asking her a question. We ended up talking for like over an hour about farming, about seeds, about, you know, like all kinds of stuff. She was doing some cool stuff and I didn't know, and I wanted to hear what she was doing. And so anyways, I just think that's kind of cool that you're chatting with someone. And High Mowing's in Vermont, so, you know, chatting with someone over in Vermont. I'm in Minnesota. We kind of have similar growing conditions. They are different but similar, and so anyway, it's just fun to talk to people about what you're doing and then hear what they're doing. and that it's, you know, you have these interests, even though you're far away, you may never meet the person. And so it's just another cool relationship to build as well, right? So building relationships not only with people that you're growing the food for and selling it to, if that's what you're doing, or sharing it with other people, like the end product, but you're talking to someone that's doing the same thing that you're doing, and they're sharing what worked for them, and you're sharing what worked for you. Anyways, I like that stuff. All right, so that is the video of seed ordering. I hope that was really helpful. If you are organic, you know, that's why I saved all my old packets, is because you have to save all your old packets, because you have to save them to be able to become certified organic. So if you are becoming certified organic, or you want to, make sure that you save all of your seed packets for 3 years at least to become organic certified. Call a certifier, ask them what their catalog is, how far back that they need records from you. But for me, when I was farming and certified, and I saved multiple years, and I just kept them because when I would meet with the certifier, she would want to see what the previous year, let's see what that was. So just making sure, like, one of the things is they want to make sure that you're crop rotating, and so you're not putting the same things in one area that you did last year, and you have to show that. And the area that I was farming was already certified organic, so I didn't have to go through the process of becoming certified organic in terms of like the whole farm. I had to follow certified organic practices that were already in place on the farm that I was leasing land. I was leasing a portion of land on a farm that was already certified organic. So I just had to follow all of those regulations. But saving seed is one of those. Documenting everything, as we did here, is one of those things. So even if you're growing food just in your backyard or whatever, if you start, but you are thinking about buying land or maybe making your yard into an urban farm, start documenting everything, because then you'll just know for if you want to become certified, you'll know how much to grow, how much seed to order, because you have all the documentation already of previous years that worked for you. Or you'll be like, wow, I need to order more of this seed next time because I really went through that. Or I don't need to order as much as I thought I did because I didn't end up eating all those cans of Ring of Fires, so I didn't need it. Anyways, all those things just take practice, just take a little time, but it's fun to get into something. I think it's really fun to get into this. Obviously, that's why I'm making these videos, but I hope this was helpful for everyone. And next video, I really need to make the actual plan of what my parents are going to grow. So I'm going to have to meet with them and get the greenhouse schedule all set for them. So that'll be something to look forward to. And I'll see you in the next one. Any questions, please ask. And all right, take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.